This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Burgamy.
Well, hey there. Hope 2020 is off to a good start for you. Good to have you along for the ride. I'm Ray DeLessio.
And I'm Kenny Burgamy. A bit of a change from the normal format. Instead of the latest news and feature stories, we're going to show you some of your favorite stories from 2019. We call it the best of YouTube. Straight ahead, the heartwarming story about the very popular Washington farms, why 2019 was the last year of doing strawberries, and what customers can expect moving forward. Also on the show, a unique fruit with many good qualities and uses. We sit down with the owners of Sweet Georgia Fuyu and hear why they feel it just may be the perfect fruit. And then later, they're as much Americana as apple pie, talking about that majestic animal known as the Clydesdale. We're going to take you to a farm here in Georgia that raises those horses and why its owner says there is no other breed like them. These stories and so much more start right now on the Farm Monitor. In 2019, we said farewell to an institution, a family tradition. After 26 years, Washington farms in both Loganville and Bogart, Georgia, announced they would no longer be growing strawberries. As for the why and what's next, the Monitor went straight to the source, owners John and Donna Washington.
Well, I've toyed with slowing down some. I'll be 66 this fall. And so we've looked at slowing down a little bit. Our daughter has a ministry in Uganda, and so we try to go over there at least once a year. We may be able to go over there twice a year now. And just strawberries are very labor intensive, a lot of work, and we're wanting to slow down. And we've been working hard all our lives, and it's time to slow down and take it a little bit easy.
We were seeking wise counsel. I said, let's go to people who know our business, know what we do, tell them what's going on, and just see what they say. And this dear friend threw out the idea, why don't you just shut down strawberries? I think you may be able to just do your fall stuff, and that would surely simplify your life. And it was like a breath of fresh air to John, because he had never entertained that, but if he had, I think he was kind of hesitant. But when someone else gave him permission to entertain that idea, and what he really needs right now is just some freedom from the weight that you carry of two whole fields of strawberries getting killed by frost, or just the weather and the rain. A lot of rain can ruin so many, and it's just hard, the toll that takes on you year after year. But I think until next spring rolls around and we really don't have them, it's gonna hit us a lot harder. Our two oldest daughters who grew up farming and being so integrally and part of just growing it all, it hit them really hard. They cried for 2 days. They were both in Uganda at the time when we kind of made the decision, thought we'll tell the kids. And it was very difficult. And our oldest daughter, who lives in Uganda, came home for 2 weeks in the middle of strawberry season, an unscheduled visit, just to pick strawberries and help us on the farm this last season. And so that showed me in a tangible way how much this is going to impact our kids.
One of our mottos is making memories at Washington Farms, and we've got pictures where we've had a couple people bring their kids out for 26 years, and now their kids are bringing their kids out, and so we're now having multiple generations of people come out to the farm, and so we're still going to be making memories. The corn maze, the petting zoo, the jumping pillow, corn box, all the activities will still be going. We're going to keep the agritourism side. All our fall activities will still be going, and that'll be at our Bogart Watkinsville farm. And so we're looking forward to continuing that. This year we've added a new zip line, and if you go to WashingtonFarms.net Facebook page, there's a video on there, and you can see my family, my kids going down the zip line. We haven't opened it up yet, but it looks to be a lot of fun, and I think that everybody's going to really enjoy that. and then we're adding a human foosball game out here. And so we've got most of that built, most of that's ready. So those would be the two main attractions we're adding this year.
I'm just a people person, and I love meeting new people. I love connecting people. We've had people that work for us meet here at the farm as their college job and end up getting married, and missionaries in Guatemala now. I mean, we have a lot of stories like that people meet here. And then, as John mentioned, the families that have been coming for years and now their adult kids are bringing their kids and they come as grandparents, you know. I'm glad that that can still be done through the agritourism part of our business instead of just through strawberries, that we can still have that connection with people, because that's what we love.
Meantime, what started off as just a small pit stop for travelers more than 60 years ago has now grown into one of the largest pecan shelling and candy operations in Georgia. Here now, a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes for Mascot Pecan Shelling Company to get their products out to you, the consumer.
Mascot Pecan Company was started by my father in 1953, and it was a gas station / gift shop along the way from the Northeast corridor down to Florida. And the business soon outgrew my mom's ability to shell the pecans by hand, and that is how my dad got started in the pecan shelling business. And then skip 20 years, skip 30 years, I come along. I was interested in what's called a value-added pecan business, which we started roasting and salting pecans first. We started using pecans as ingredients in candies, and from there we grew into the candy business.
We send them through our shelling our sizing process, and then the nuts are sized by the diameter of the pecan. Then we take those into our shelling operation to where they're dumped into bins, and the bins are conditioned with water to make the nut high in moisture. And then when we run it through our shelling processing, that kind of acts like a sponge to make sure that we shell more halves instead of breaking it into pieces. And once we have the nuts that are shelled, they go through a drying process to bring it down to about 4% moisture. Then they go over various screens to size out pieces. So when you market something with pecan halves, people are always going to want every pecan to be a half. So we try to size out accordingly and get all the pieces out to make sure that the consumer has the best quality product.
We went from using only pecans as an ingredient to over 35 different flavors, which include now peanut butter, mint, coconut, pecans, cashews, everything that you can name. We have chocolate coating lines that do about 6,000 pounds in an 8-hour shift. We have 3 of those. And we have a peanut brittle processing line that puts out 1,100 pounds per hour. We have a nut square line that puts out about 800 or 900 pounds an hour. And we'll shell around 6 million pounds of pecans from October through March. My brother is also a 50% owner with myself, and he has 2 boys here, and I have 1 son here. So it's nice to have your family.
We've been blessed by being able to expand a good bit. Business has been good, and we've brought in probably 20 to 30 more jobs over the past 2 or 3 years. Yeah, it's good to see consumers come in and get such good feedback of the hard work that we put in. It's always something new every day. It's never the same monotonous job every day.
Well, they may have a funny name, but don't mistake them for their bitter relative. After the break, a crash course on the Fuyu persimmon and the couple who decided to roll the dice and grow them here in Georgia.
The building is the oldest on campus. It was built in the early part of the last century. The building next to it, which was also a mule barn house, was struck by lightning and burned down, so they rebuilt this one, eliminated the one that was burned down, of course, and just put this one on that site in 1912. It was made of a special construction called slip concrete, which in its day was a brand new way of making buildings, and it's still that today. It still has the original concrete in it.
I am blessed. I'm blessed to be the vendor in this facility. It has been an opportunity that I never thought that I would have. And so when I was approached about this opportunity last year, it kind of fit into the niche of what I do. And UGA has been very welcoming, and they've done anything and everything that I've ever asked for. And so I'm very, very blessed to be here. I have two favorite parts. One are the turkey tracks in the conference room. It's really cool because the epoxy they put on the floor doesn't compromise what the concrete floor is. And so all the imperfections that you see in the floor, you get to actually see them, but we can mop them at the same time. So it's nice about that. But there's turkey tracks, there's raccoon tracks. Those are really cool. And then being able to look at the walls and see what the people who worked here wrote on the walls, because they would write on it, you know, as the mules were bringing in whatever they were, you know, whatever they brought in. And so they wrote all these calculations on the wall. And to be able to see that part of history, I mean, I can see the walls, I can see what they made, but actually see how somebody worked and what they did, to me, is just fascinating.
This did house mules until the mid part of last century, and then of course tractors came into play, and then it housed tractors. And eventually it was just a storage unit. And then it was on a demolition list to be demolished. And some people on the campus, including the former assistant dean here, Dr. Arkin, saw a potential of it being something special on campus, and thus it was kind of the birth and the vision of the Mule Barn Cafe.
What we do is we do as much as we can, farm to table. Our specials every day are done farm to table. Right now, the only thing that's really available are greens, kale. Cauliflower just came up, so we had cauliflower soup this week. You know, so as things come into the farm and to my local farmers that I use, then I'm able to use those here at the cafe. So we do as much as we can. So what we have an item here called mule feed, and it just happened to come around and someone called it mule feed, and it's a kale salad, and one of my local farmers grows the kale just for me, and so we can have that. It's a softer kale. We like the flavor and the texture of it, and so we use as much as we can. I'm also working with food suppliers and finding out where my food is coming from, and if I can get it out of Georgia and I can get it locally, that's what I'm going for.
We have people now filling up our parking lot right next to the cafe, coming in, taking advantage of it, taking advantage of the wonderful breakfasts and lunches that are open to the community. A lot of people are maybe under the perception that it is just for the campus, but it's not. It's the City of Griffin restaurant. People from all over the area can come in anytime and enjoy it.
In South Georgia, there's a new player in town, the persimmons Fuyu. When most people think of persimmons, they think bitter, spine-tingling. Heaven forbid you bite into one that's not ripe. However, the Fuyu persimmon is much different. It's a fruit Laura Potts Wirt and husband Tom have spent time and money perfecting. And as the owners of Sweet Georgia Fuyu in Glenville, Georgia, they feel it's something that once you taste, you'll instantly be hooked.
Whenever I sell the persimmon at farmers markets, I'm also there to educate people about the fruit. One of the common things I hear is people think it's like the wild persimmon in Georgia, which can be bitter or astringent. But this is an Asian persimmon. It originated in Asian countries. It's actually the national fruit of Japan. It's celebrated in Asian countries and they know the fruit well. It's a sweet fruit. It's never bitter. It's always sweet. It eats like an apple or a pear. You can just eat it as fresh fruit. You know, Tom can speak for himself. He's from a farm family. They've farmed for over 100 years. And, but I think that's one of the things we have in common. You know, we really love the farming way of life. We love being outdoors, working with the land. I love to cook and work with food. And so I just am really excited about working with a fruit that I can do so much with in the kitchen.
You know, we missed the farm, and we were looking for that same kind of lifestyle here. And we thought, well, this could be done. Oh no, people don't do that here. They grow peanuts, they grow cotton, you know, they do. I go, well, why can't they, you know? And we started looking around and we found other people who thought the same thing. Why can't other things be grown here? And so we thought, you know, why don't we buy a farm here? And why don't we grow persimmons? We love them, you know, they're great fruit and there's not enough being done with them and more people could really, you know, enjoy them, you know. They're a good fall, wonderful fruit at the fall, and they're different, you know, and they're not like everything else. And although maybe you have people you have to explain to them what they are, but, you know, that's the fun of it too, you know. Here we have 175 acres. We've planted 16, and you know, we're developing farming practices as we go, you know, like what's the best way to do this here, you know, because this is not California, you know. I mean, you realize that the humidity, you know, creates challenges for farmers, and you have to meet those challenges.
Some of the products I make with the persimmon are persimmon pepper jam, persimmon butter, and persimmon ginger jam. And then I also have the Georgia grown trail mix that includes the dried persimmons and then just the dried persimmons. And then I have other products in development. There are just so many things you can make with a persimmon. And then this year my goal has been to be at the state fair, and so that worked out really well. I also got my manufactured kitchen license so I can sell in the Georgia Grown store there. I just take my product and leave it there for 2 weeks, and they were also nice enough to let us have our fresh fruit there at the market this year. They said there aren't many requests for this because they don't have a lot of fall fruit to work with, so they were more than happy to work that out with me. So we're going to be there this fall with our kids. We're going to have samples and we're going to have fresh fruit and then products at the Georgia Grown store. I do want to mention that the city of Glenville has just been wonderful. That's one of the reasons we chose this farm, is we really liked this farming community. We liked Glenville, and as we've been here longer, we've gotten to know more people. And I just want to say that they've been wonderfully supportive and interested in what we've done. The newspaper has done a couple of articles about it. I'm a member of the garden club here. They've been very supportive, and so that means a lot to us to be newer to a farming community, but be so accepted and supported by them.
Well, not to sound redundant, especially given the theme of this week's show, but need I remind you that if you missed any part of this story or others on today's program, you can still see them in their entirety at our YouTube channel, The Farm Monitor. So many good stories to choose from. In fact, the archive dates all the way back to 2009.
We have saved the best for last. After the break, one of the most watched Farm Monitor YouTube videos of 2019. And no horsing around, cause we're coming right back. You don't want to miss it. Finally this week, given the fact our next story is approaching 8,800 views on YouTube, it's safe to say that people are really fascinated by the Clydesdales.
Yeah, what Kenny is referring to is the story we did around this time last year on Classic City Clydesdales in Bishop, Georgia. They are world-renowned and believed to be the only operation of its kind in the entire Southeast.
Known for their massive size, stepping action, and gentle temperament, The first breed of Clydesdales can be traced back to the 1800s in the farmlands of Scotland. For Shannon Martin, a native of Michigan, her affection for the breed began a little over 20 years ago. To this day, Shannon insists there is no horse like a Clydesdale.
These guys are the most kind, most forgiving animal on the planet. You can do things with a Clydesdale that you would definitely hesitate to do with other breeds. I always say they're the most kid-friendly, husband-safe horse there is. We got our first Clydesdale in 1998. And it was because my husband, who I had met, wanted to find a horse he could ride with me on the weekends. I had worked in high school with a lady who would go to horse auctions, buy unbroke prospects, break them, and resell them as riding horses. I always like to say I was her crash test dummy. So on the weekends when I got out of the Air Force, I was riding a little 14-hand Cremello pony. I have no idea what breed it was, and Mark decided he wanted to ride with me. So we went to a horse auction because it's what I knew. This was up in Jackson, Michigan. And in through the arena came a 2-year-old Clydesdale stud colt, and he looked at it and said, "That's what I got to have." And at that time I thought, what in the heck are we going to do with this thing? Fast forward almost 20 years, and here we are with a head of about 35 head of Clydesdale horses, and I can't imagine having any other breed.
Typically, when one thinks of a Clydesdale, they think of a workhorse of sorts, pardon the expression, a carriage ride, obviously pulling the Budweiser wagon. But according to Shannon, they are much more than that. In fact, these animals are very versatile.
Are they workhorses? Sure. That's what their history was, but we're making new history with them now. In fact, at our World Show up in Madison, Wisconsin in October was the first time we've introduced a dressage section to our World Show. So we're doing a lot more riding with these guys. They're super versatile. Now, are they going to be big jumpers? No, probably not. But you know that, take them out on a trail on the weekend, they love it. They have a great time with it.
Shannon admits raising Clydesdales is not for everyone, especially with the always changing climate here in Georgia. For one, they prefer colder temperatures, one of the reasons why Classic City is a rare find here in the Southeast. Additionally, their massive size requires some extra attention.
It is kind of a joke here on the farm that I do usually give about 100 reasons why somebody should not own a Clydesdale compared to the one reason why they should. And it's not because I don't want people to enjoy these horses, it's just I really love them and I want to make sure that they land in the best possible environment. The feather that's on their legs definitely requires daily maintenance. You definitely have to watch that. It can be a source of illness and injury for them. And they are big horses, so they require an ample amount of feed to keep them comfortable. These aren't a breed of horse that you just throw out to the pasture and bring in once a week for a trail ride. They definitely need that constant interaction to stay happy and healthy. In the last couple of years since our barn fire in 2016, we realized that a lot of what we do is here. This is what we enjoy. We enjoy the babies, we enjoy the moms, and enjoy sharing them with the public. So we did open up the farm to tours last year. You can come here usually Wednesday, Friday, Saturday at 11 and enjoy a tour of the farm, meet the horses up close and personal. We also do by appointment trail rides. So if you're interested in riding one of these gentle giants, you definitely can. But that's basically what we do here. We want to be the beacon for Clydesdale horses in the South, basically, because the South was settled by mules, so you don't see these big draft horses very often.
All right, that's going to do it for the special YouTube edition of the Farm Monitor. Next week, we're back with all new stories and a new outlook for 2020.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great week.